Hey everyone, Ryan B here to Practical Forex Trading. Welcome to another weekly analysis of the Euro-USD. I've been offline for a bit, developing a trading product, actually, an online trading course. There's a link for it in the description if you're interested. Let's go ahead and map out potential price action for the euro dollar this week. What we're looking at here is a daily chart showing this uptrend which started in early 2020. But even pulling back further, let's go ahead and talk about the weekly first. So this is a multi-year trend line. This comes from actually about 2008 is when we see this price action going all the way back. So the first thing I'm kind of do is marking up potential price action just in a multi-year trend state. So one way to look at this is if you connect these tops here, that the euro dollar has in fact broken trend, came back and touched the side and is now moving upwards. However, we've got horizontal support and resistance waiting here. So because of that, we could potentially drag this overall trend line to be a bit more broad and a bit more inclusive. Because until euro makes a new high, right? So it beats this old high of 125.33 and holds, we really aren't in an official bull run in the multi-year sense. So what I can do is I can go ahead and map up my horizontal support and resistance. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to look for, in this last high, where did price have a hard time staying above week after week? And so you can see that's this line here about 123.50, which in fact was our most recent peak. We see here that each week, each one of these candles, that price attempted to push through and continue to climb higher, but was unsuccessful. In fact, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 weeks, price was rejected and finally fell away. So one important thing to note before you go thinking that this is a top and you should sell, remember the last time this a high was being pushed out, took 13 weeks for trend to turn around. We've only touched it once. So still a long way to go in the short-term sense. So knowing that ceiling does exist, right? So there's that resistance zone up here between 23.58 and 25.39. We can even go ahead and color that in if we want. Use a rectangle tool and drag it across. So if you are bearish on euro, you're going to want to wait until price pushes into these ultimate resistance zones. Let's go ahead and look at the short term. This is the daily trend. We see here, as you get smaller and smaller, closer to your candles, I like to make sure my trends are really as stretched out as far as possible. If you look from an extreme angle, you're going to think it's always the next downtrend. However, if you zoom in, we can see here, this is a nice, pretty stable uptrend. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out my ultimate lows with the trend line tool and connect all these bottoms here from back in spring of 2020. That gives me my initial trend angle. And the more broad and sloping, the better. Now I'm going to go ahead and clone that trend line and pull it up and find another place where these candlestick, right, price action, these candlesticks here, what they're called, represent touch both the bottom and the top of the lines and it acted like support and resistance, just at an angle, not horizontal. So we can see that's right about here. Going back to spring, we see price every time it hits this line. For the most part, it usually drops away, comes back, tests it, etc. So that's how we determine what's our closer support line in this trend channel. So we could have this as be our lower trend channel, this lower zone, and now our price action's up in this upper trend channel. Kind of gotta be careful though, this is kind of a precarious place for price to be. It's kind of right in the middle. Now I can take another trend, I can draw another trend line, mimic that same angle, and get my intraday, intra-week trading zone. So this angle here matches up what you can see with this broader trend angle. So now let's go ahead and apply our pivot points to determine where price might go this week. Now, one just basic way of identifying support and resistance is find your last low, your last high. So we can see here at the 120.50 mark, a couple of weeks ago or in December, last month, price touched down there once. Just recently, price touched down there again before moving upwards. So that's a support zone. Let's go ahead and pull up the numbers and be sure. So we can see here I'm on DailyFX/pivot points. Any pivot point calculator should do online. Now I'm using the weekly pivot points because I'm looking for where will price go to this week, or where could it potentially go to this week, as opposed to intraday. I typically hold my trades a couple days or so. So that's why I'm looking at these pivot points. So I want to know what's our first support, 2087. We go back to our chart and it's actually right just above that line. So let's go ahead and mark this 2087. I'm going to make that blue. Our next support is 2002, so 2002. That's down here. So what we can see is sometimes price will drop through support and then quickly get bought back up. We can also see that was a high back on November 30th. That's our second support. So now between S1 and S2, we can also draw a rectangle and represent our support zone. So if you're bullish on euro, you're going to want to look into buying when price dips down the support zone. If you're bearish on euro, you want to wait to sell until price moves up into this resistance zone like we talked about. Speaking of resistance, what are our R1 and R2 for the week? R1, 122.23. So right there, that's our R1. I'm going to change that color. That's our resistance. Okay. So now when I think about the next couple of days, so Monday, Tuesday trading, good chance price could move up to here. But then before continuing on, it's going to dip back down. Where would it dip to? Potentially back down to S1. So a lot of times price action will do that. Within the week, it goes between one or, S1, S2, R1, R2. Let's look at what R2 is. 122.74. Okay, right there. So if price pushes up into here, that's great. But however, just be aware, it'll probably get pushed back by any traders selling in this resistance zone back down to S1. But the overall trend is a buy and or bullish. So that'd be a good opportunity to buy the dip. One last thing we can do is a strategy that's been working well for me is identifying moving average. So even if we just look at the fast, it's 20 period. We see prices right below that. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that once price hits this moving average before heading upwards, if you're bullish, it will probably travel back down. So my forecast for the week is we could see price action actually locked between 2087 and 2280. And I'm not anticipating a breakout till at least February. All right, that's it for now. Make sure you check out our other videos and check out our product if you're interested in trading. Thanks, bye.